إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، فيقول الله تعالى في كتابه المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Allah, most glorious and high, instructs the believers in His book, saying, O you who believe, fear Allah or have taqwa of Allah as He ought to be feared, and do not die except in a state of Islam. And taqwa is one of the defining features of a Muslim. And it is the feature which distinguishes one human being from another, as there is no difference between someone who is black or white, someone who is rich or poor, someone who speaks this language or another, except in taqwa. And taqwa is something which should be a guiding principle throughout our lives. And today in this khutbah, we want to think about one sphere of our lives which has become more and more important in the modern age. And that is the use of the internet. And in particular, the use of social media, such as websites like Facebook and Twitter and many other things, which we find ourselves using more and more. And I think I'm speaking about the majority of people, because there are hundreds of millions of users, if not billions of users of these social media across the world today. And like anything, if we were to go to any place, if we were to, for example, go to a market, we should know about the rules of the market. We should know about the rules of trade, what is allowed, what is not allowed, according to the teachings of Islam. And when we find a new environment that we're not familiar with, we need to think, we need to pause and reflect. We also need to take advice of the scholars in understanding how to navigate this new terrain. And in many ways, these tools on the internet are new ground, new environments which we must approach thoughtfully and carefully. Because while there is so much good that can be done through them, there are also many dangers. Among the most serious dangers is wasting of time. As people spend so much time on these media now, and to the extent that because we carry smartphones, there is a constant connection with this media. It has become a preoccupation of many people, so that it has replaced the time and the space for silence, for reflection, and for the remembrance of Allah. And this is not a rule which we are saying, therefore, halal and haram. We are saying we have to think for our own selves as well, how to navigate, how to survive, and how to utilize. So let's think about these two things first. How to survive in the world of social media. We have to remember the basic principles of our deen, which all of us know and understand, and we apply them in other spheres of life. Among those is to have a purpose. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Every action is judged according to its intention. So when you go and use social media, you should understand why you're doing so. You don't do so only because that's what people do, or because you have nothing else to do, but you do so because there is something which you hope to gain, whether it be interaction with people in the right way, whether it be to gain some information or knowledge. We have to have a purpose. Secondly, to guard our time. As I mentioned, that this is among the most serious afflictions which occurs because of these certain social media. And also our privacy and our honor. There are people who post pictures onto social media, not thinking about how they are impacting on their own privacy, the privacy of their families, of their children, Not thinking about who will see this picture, who will share this picture. As if we think that these are actual private networks. They are not private. As soon as you post something on Facebook, then the people who run Facebook do have access to it. If that is pictures of your wife, that is pictures of your children, God only knows how those things could be used in the future in ways that you are not even aware. Also, the ethics of interaction. Just as it's not allowed to backbite in quote unquote the real world about our brothers and sisters, likewise you cannot do it on the online world, where it is much easier to fall into such mistakes. We have to remember, how do we talk to the opposite sex? How do we interact? For some people, they say, well, I will never add as a friend, i.e. a Facebook contact, someone of the opposite sex. That's fine. But if you were to do so, how do you speak? When do you speak? What do you speak about? These are the same ethics that we need to know in our interactions in daily life. And lowering the gaze. Lowering the gaze doesn't only mean that we don't look at dirty pictures or provocative pictures, but it means just not looking at things that don't concern you. This is the broader meaning of lowering the gaze according to Islam. That how much time do we spend looking at things that don't concern us in any way? We're reading conversations that don't concern us. We are reading gossip and we are reading nonsense stories which waste our time. These are the things that we have to lower our gaze from. As the Prophet ﷺ said, "Min husni Islam al-mar'i tarkuhu ma la ya'ni." From among the things that perfect a person's Islam is that he leaves alone that which does not concern him. Then also we have to look at the company that we keep, whom we associate with, whom we communicate with, and that applies online as it does in the rest of life. Avoiding rumors, not spreading things before checking. And this is something that happens a great deal. Someone posts a story about Mars bar or about God knows what, the latest thing that has become haram according to somebody's quick judgment, and then we forward it and we forward it without checking, without going back to the source, without going back also to those who can verify what is the Islamic ruling in this case. Instead, we are relying on an anonymous person's judgment, which is unacceptable in all cases. And the last thing that I want to mention to survive online is to control the nafs. To recognize the dangers of our own souls and how they can mislead us and misguide us. That is showing off, for example, posting the latest picture, selfie, posing in front of the mirror to show off. And this applies now, unfortunately, to men as much as it does to women. Pouting and showing off certain pictures, this is egotism. And then on the other side, the nafs also wants to argue, wants to overcome. And then we get into a debate about aqidah or about fiqh or halal and haram. And then we are spending all night arguing with people on the internet. Maybe people that we don't even know. And it shouldn't really matter to us if somebody on the other side of the world holds an opinion different from us. But we are getting into this kind of argumentation because of the nafs. So these are the points that I wanted to mention in brief about surviving on the internet. But we also want to look at the positive side. And that is, how do we utilize, how do we make the most of these opportunities and these tools and these means by which we can benefit ourselves and others. The first of these is that we can use the internet to research certain matters. Things have become available at our fingertips. Nowadays we have something called Shaykh Google. And Shaykh Google has got a very bad reputation, and rightly so. It's not his fault, but it's the fault of people who go to this Shaykh Google and type in for a fatwa and then think that they have received something authoritative. But if you know what you are doing and you know what you're looking for, you can find useful information, useful resources, but you should not fool yourself into thinking that that is the same as asking a scholar and receiving an answer which is actually relevant to you. Because you could be reading a fatwa of somebody that was given in another context, another place, and related to another question and doesn't apply to you. This is the problem of using Shaykh Google and Mufti, Wikipedia, and all of the rest of these resources in the wrong way. We laugh about them because of the way that people use them, not because the tool itself is something evil. So by all means research and gather information, but you will probably need to take that and check with somebody who can verify for you how it applies, whether it applies in the context. Not to take these things as authoritative, because there are good websites which are reliable, which are well checked by trusted authorities, and there are others that are just written by somebody in his basement, in his back garden, and God knows what they are putting out onto the internet. We may also use it for spreading information about Islam. We may use it for da'wah. We may use it to invite people to Islam. We can develop websites. We can develop Facebook pages. We can develop all these kind of information bases where people can come and find out about Islam in an attractive way, in a way that is concordant with the age that we are living in. It is not enough just to make articles and things for people to read. People need now to see images. They need attractive things to look at, to listen to. And there are so many ways that the internet can be used to advance this cause. And also for mobilization, for spreading the news about things that are happening in the community, especially in the local community, to gather people together, whether to come and listen to a lecture by local or visiting scholars and speakers, whether it be to campaign for a certain issue to help the people in our community and in our global ummah. The internet has this capacity, and it was a crucial thing in many of the social revolutions which have taken place in different parts of the world. So we should always look at things with their good and their bad. We should take the good. We should beware of and avoid the bad. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.